It's recording.
Oh my gosh. If you were to receive a job offer from one company, which company would it be? Like if you could just oh man, this is the company that I've been waiting for, and oh, if they just give me a job offer that looked like this and did this and this is this, what company would it be?
Jiffy.
Jiffy Cornbread.
No, the one who makes the marshmallows. Wait, is it? Hold on. Is it Jiffy? It is Jiffy. Yeah, Jiffy.
The
Jiffy makes them.
marshmallow company?
Yeah, I don't know what. I don't know what it is. I'm
Hold on,
like
wait. I gotta look this up. Hold on.
really. I'm not. I'm not obsessed with marshmallows, but I definitely would choose marshmallows as like as like a treat or something. But no, if I had to be serious about it,
It's
that's
Jif.
hard. Oh, Jeff. I thought it was Jiffy, but Jeff. Yeah. Oh, it is Jeff. Okay, it is Jeff. Now that you say it, I don't even know because I don't. I don't think there's like
Oh, but
one.
they also have like Jet. Oh, wait, hold on. They have Kraft.
Don't they have peanut butter?
Kraft.
No, 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 Jif. Don't they have the
Jif
peanut
has
butters?
peanut butter.
Yeah, that's what I
Okay,
thought.
hold on. Wait, hold on. Jiffy marshmallows? Wait, hold on.
I think it. I thought it was Jiffy.
Hold on. I'm looking it up
Yeah.
because it says it's giving me three different things. It is telling me Jif marshmallows and like it auto corrected to Jif marshmallows when I was typing in Jiffy.
Uh,
But it's Jeff puffed. Oh, that's
really? What are you
not what I
looking
was
at?
looking for at all. Nothing. Nothing. So
Really?
so Kraft jet puffed marshmallows. Is that what you're do they
I
use
can't think of. I can't think
do
of
they use
one.
jets to puff the marshmallows? I know that sounds very silly, but
What?
I've heard weirder.
What?
This
Why
guy
are
is
you?
eating marshmallow fluff. Oh, he's just eating it straight out of the can.
Oh no,
Ah!
I don't know what it is, but the fluff to me is way too sweet. Like when they put the like the fluff in the little
Ooh, what?
container. Yeah, I can't eat the fluff. I have to.
Marshmallows are sweet. It's just a cotton
No,
ball of sugar. That's all it
but
is.
I know, but the fluff. It seems like they just put the whole bag of sugar in it. It was just like, here you go, take this
Okay.
container. But no, seriously, I would honestly probably say somewhere along the lines of probably Adidas.
Okay.
I don't know why. Well, I do know why because I honestly I like their shoes, like their style, also what they stand for as well, and they give a lot of clap back for people who are basically uh ignorant. So I would definitely say Adidas. That would be my company. And I'm like, oh man, they called me. Adidas, if you listen, then yeah, my name is Kayla. We love to be a spot, or you can sponsor me. Whatever the case may be. Go ahead. Appreciate it. Good looking out.
I
Who would you choose, or who would you be excited for a company?
don't know if I'd be excited to I think that if my company were able to offer jobs to more than 30 people and I had 30 like full-time employees,
Uh
that would be my ultimate like, oh yeah, champion the Discord.
huh.
Like that would be like my ultimate like, oh man, we got people on payroll, not just contractors. Like we're actually
Really
paying benefits out here. Yes, absolutely. Um, that would
love.
probably be like my ultimate because getting a job offer from other brands and stuff is it's fine, but I have my own that I want to build. So yeah,
Mm.
that's where I am with that. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Take a Space Podcast. I am your host Leah, joined by my other host.
Kayla.
Thank you so much for being here. Definitely appreciate you. I'm really excited about 2021.
I am too.
Some things
I
have
definitely am.
happened in the world, in the state of the union, where we are just like,
Why and what are you doing? Like, come
what
on, y'all.
what year is this? Is the question. And And somebody had posted it on either TikTok or Instagram. I can't remember which one. Where he was like, um, "I would really, I would really not like to live in history books. Like this is stuff that you read in history books, not
Yeah.
stuff that's currently happening now. Like I would rather not live in a history book." Just like
Uh,
I don't want to live through history, and it's like, and it's so funny that people are kind of having that, having those reactions to the state of the world. But I think that personally, in my life, as for me in this house,
really?
um, that 2021 is going to be, a really good year. Ever since 2016, my years have been going up and up and up and up,
Well, that's good.
and I want to continue going on that trend. What are you currently feeling now?
At first, I was like, I know it's all over Instagram when somebody posted, "Yes, I want to end my 7 day free trial of 2021. I don't like it." So that's how I was feeling. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? 2021, we're just gonna keep going on, move forward, like be motivated, whatever the case may be.
Right.
Try, either try and try something new, I would definitely say, but don't let the past stop me from being great in the future and also the present. Because I know 2017, I know you said like how you were going up and up and up. I feel like 2017 when I was going down, down, down. I was like, yeah, no. So I
It
can't,
happens. Like my
yeah.
life is just, I think everybody's life has
Life is
this
like a
kind of
roller
roller
coaster.
coaster, yeah,
Yeah,
where they kind of, ride the wave of going up and down. But I think that it has a lot to do with perspective. So,
true.
even though 2016, I said from 2016, I was going up and up and up, is because the perspective shift. Because 2017, like I've said on on this show before, I spoke about it a little bit. Uh, 2017, 2019 were very hard years for me. But
Mhm.
I feel that based on the perspective that I have, especially of when I look back in hindsight, it was just me growing out of who I was into who I am. So I absolutely look at myself as like as trying to progress forward. But um this with so many things going on this year, there is a lot of time to point and look at, oh my gosh, did you see that? But did you see that? But are you doing
Yeah.
this?
Oh my god. Yeah.
Um, and
That's so
there's
true.
and if 2020 was a year of reflection, I think that 2021 is the time that we kind of to use those tools that we've hopefully gained over 2021 or in these
Yeah.
past years. And one of the tools that I have learned is in growing in self awareness is recognizing my triggers.
Mhm.
Um, I am triggered when I am dismissed uh, or ignored.
Yeah.
And do you know your triggers?
I would agree for ignored. I don't like being ignored. But also being lied on. Being lied to and being lied on. Those are my triggers. I've gotten better, but uh definitely I don't like the being lied to and being lied on. Is that the same thing though? Being lied to and being lied on? Would you
No,
say
because
that's the same
somebody
thing?
lies to you, you're not necessarily being lied on. They can lie to you and lie on you at the same time.
Okay,
Where
then
it's
yeah.
like, you said da 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 da. I never said those things.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
lying to me about me?
Yeah.
How? I was there. How are you gonna tell me?
Yeah. I would definitely say those are my triggers, but uh yeah. I
So
have not had an incident where I was triggered. But because I think since everybody's kind of like by themselves in a way, and they're not really out there, and also I'm an introvert, I'm a homebody, so I don't have to really deal with anybody that way. But I haven't been triggered in a while. Yeah, in a while. It's been a while since I've been triggered. But I know my triggers though. But it's been a while since I've been triggered.
that's good for anybody who doesn't know what it means to be triggered. And I know that a lot of people hear trigger warnings and trigger this, trigger that. And
Hmm.
when you're working on mental health, this is one of the things that they use. Sometimes the word is overused, but this is what the dictionary says that it means. especially of something read, seen, or heard. It causes distress to someone, typically as a result of arousing feelings or memories associated with particular traumatic experience. Um, I talk a lot about, taking up space and standing up for yourself. And a lot of it is because
Yeah.
there were points in time where I was really dismissed, and my reaction to being ignored or being dismissed, if it goes unchecked, is essentially a temper tantrum. I'll
Mhm.
get very assertive. I'll speak more harshly. I'll become I'll try to become more physical in my presence.
No.
So even though I'm not that tall, there's, for whatever reason, in certain situations, I try to appear taller or bigger than what I am, so that I just become, the energy that I bring is just greater than what it actually is. But I'm learning to um, check those things. And like you said, you would hope that, well, you you mentioned that, since you've been by yourself, or everybody's kind of been in quarantine, we haven't had to really deal with that.
Yeah.
What I've realized is that because I was in quarantine and because I was by myself for a majority of it, I think like 6 months or something crazy like that. Like I was
Mm.
just like, but with my dog by myself,
Mhm.
and no real contact except via phone or via computer. And in having no real contact with people, I didn't have to practice, working through my triggers.
Yeah.
So when it came the time for me to be around people again, which very weird, like it was just going from being by yourself totally to being around two, three, four, five, 10, 20 people constantly, it's a
I'm like,
lot.
oh, what's his
That
name?
is that is a lot.
Yeah.
So not only are you dealing with the anxiety of the stark cultural shock of going from being by yourself to being around people, your anxiety is high, your stress is high. Um, the triggers that you have are now hair triggers. So anything that like resembles anything
Mhm.
that's like a trigger is like, no, I must act out. And it's
Yeah.
not that I'm just like, um, I try to make sure that I check myself and that I don't do that. But the first time it happened, coming out of quarantine, oh man, that lady she had no chance. she
Did
she
you
got
lose
all of
it?
it. She
What?
got I didn't lose it. I didn't lose it, but it was a very stern talk. It was a very stern talk, and it was more stern than I had been doing in the last year, because I haven't had to deal with that.
Uh huh.
And so I didn't yell at her. I didn't call her out of her name. I didn't do any of those things, but it was just like a very, very much so, I said this thing to you. You need
Mhm.
to listen to me. And I didn't like being that's the tone that I use. Those aren't the words that I said, but that's the tone that I used. Of
Did she
just
ignore
like,
you or?
yeah, she like completely just like ignored me and walked away. And I was like,
Oh.
first of all, you are in the service
I
industry. Okay. I asked you my first thought was just like, hey, can I get this? And she like straight up just walked away. And I was like,
What?
just acknowledge that I said something. That's all you have to do. Just
Man.
acknowledge that I said something. But it wasn't just an isolated incident, because her manager had come out because we had an issue. And her manager was like, well, this issue is not a real issue. And I was like,
What?
okay, but it is. So he's like checking it. He's like, oh, well, I mean, and so he was like, oh, and then he walks away in the middle of me explaining it to him, and then he comes back to try it himself and was like, oh, I see what you're talking about. Um, yeah, there's nothing we can do to fix it while you're here. So I guess we'll fix it after you leave. Blah blah blah. And so I was already felt that was offense number one, right? Already, just like, I know you did what in the middle of me talk. How you okay?
Wait.
Okay,
So hold
okay,
on, hold on. Make sure I heard you correctly. The manager, while you were talking, the manager wants to try it out for himself to see what
yeah,
the issue was.
yeah. So yeah,
Uh, oh wow! I feel like these
Because
people are in the wrong
the
camp.
issue was that the fountain sodas were all flat. There was no carbonation in them, right? And if
Uh huh.
it was very minimal, right? So you couldn't taste it, and it all tasted weird because of the lack of carbonation. So whatever they did, whatever mechanism they had it, or whatever they had the dial set to was wrong.
Mhm.
So um, the first response, and this is where I was like, okay, relax. I said, hey, I told the lady, I said, hey, the sodas are flat. And I try to be like hey, hey, so,
Yeah,
could you,
be light with it.
the
Yeah,
sodas are flat.
yeah.
And she was like, we'll try another soda.
If I say
I
the
said,
sodas are
all
flat.
the sodas are flat. And she was like, well, because even the lemonade tasted weird. And so
How?
I was just like, yeah, it was just however they had it set. And so then even Jocelyn was there. She was telling them, what it was, blah blah blah. And then the manager came out and he was like, "What's going on?" And I
Mhm.
said, "The sodas are flat." He said, "Did you just get another soda?" And it was like, "No, all the sodas are flat." And so in me, I said, "If you just," I said, I was trying to explain to him, and I was in the middle of the sentence, and he walks away. And so I look back at the sisters like, did he just walk away from me? Like I know he is. I'm like, this is okay. All right.
Ah, heck no.
So
Did y'all leave?
he
Or y'all
goes
just
to get
stayed
a
there?
cup. He goes to get a cup and gets the cup because we already paid for the food. He goes to get a
Oh,
cup
okay. Uh-huh.
and he tries it and he's like, oh yeah, and pours out the cup and is like, yeah, there's nothing we can do about it because the company that brings us the soda sets it up and it's all. And so Jocelyn said, can you try in the back? Well, they're all set to the same thing, so it's going to be the same whether it's in the front or the back. But we can call somebody out here, but they're not going to be out here while you guys are here, so it won't be fixed until after you guys leave, and or like sometime after you guys leave. And I was like, I said, okay.
Ain't no way.
So I said, because we paid for quite a few drinks. I said, can I get a milkshake? Like, let me just go ahead and get a milkshake because the sodas aren't
Substitute
working,
it. Yeah.
right? So he's like, yeah. So he gives me my milkshake,
Uh-huh.
and we had two or three other milkshakes that we were waiting for that we had paid for, apart from the sodas. So while I'm standing there, the lady who's working, mind you, it's one worker, but there's nobody else in here. She takes one order, right?
Uh-huh.
And she takes one order. The guy is just kind of like waiting for his food or whatever, gets his stuff, and he goes, I said, can I get a tray, please? And I understand, it's just her, and then there's people in the back who's working drive through, but there's nobody in the store, right? She doesn't respond. She just like smooth walks away. It wasn't like a, oh yep, got it, or got, there was no acknowledgement, no nothing. She just walks away. So as she's halfway to the back, I said, can I get a tray, please?
Oh
And
Lord.
of course, one of the sisters thought that I was being too harsh and that I like holds out, but I'm just like, don't ignore me. Like, first of all, I was already dismissively talked to by your manager, and now you want to like I get it. I've worked in the service industry. I understand it. Customer is not always right, but at least acknowledge.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I heard you. Because she came back, gave me a tray, and said, due to COVID, we typically don't give out trays. If you would have opened with that, like, hey, when I said, hey, can I get a tray? Because it's a lot of food to carry out because it's for the kids.
Mhm.
If you would have said, hey, we're not giving out trays because of COVID, no problem. Understand COVID compliance, all that kind of stuff. I don't need a tray then. Thank you. But when she came back, she was like, well, we typically don't give out trays because of COVID, blah, blah, but I'll give you this tray. You're not doing me any favors because you already disrespected me. So I have no time for you anymore. So I just was like, let me give this out to the kids because I don't live here. I don't live
Really.
here. I don't live here. I don't live here. Like that was my biggest thing. But I don't but I whatever it is about being ignored, like takes you back to the time of when I was younger and I will and you ignore me, I it at in it at its core, it looks like a temper tantrum. At
Mhm.
its core. but it could come out in a variety of ways. It could be a silent treatment. It could be me telling you about yourself. It could be me withdrawing from the situation. There's a whole gamut of things, but I've learned to really work through it. But we can get into that. But I want to hear more about your triggers and how it's manifested itself and what your reactions are.
Ew, that was a lot to take in from you.
It was. I'm saying, like, I know that it, like, I seem like a lot. I really do, and I seem like a very I'm I feel like I'm just as sensitive as the next person, but
Mhm.
because I have learned to handle difficult situations with more finesse, it may seem like nothing ever gets to her when that's absolutely not the case. So
Oh.
yeah, so I want to hear about your triggers.
Oh, my triggers definitely ignored, but not to that extent. I pretty much whatever you give me, I give it right back to you with the whole ignoring. That's for me. But being lied on, I feel like I'm saying that so wrong, but I know I'm not. Um, I know it was in high school, I believe, and I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember I was telling somebody a story about me that happened, and I was like, this is a confidence, just talking to you about it. Um, then I was telling another person the same story, but I didn't give them every single detail because this person's like pretty much a gossiper. So I was like, just basically like catching up on about my day, type of conversation that we had, and they were talking to each other, and they was like, Kayla didn't tell me that. Like something so simple, it could have been like, hey, Leah, I'm gonna tell you the sky is purple. And I'm gonna go out and tell somebody else, yeah, the sky is purple, but also the grass is yellow. You guys could talk to each other and be like, that's not what Kayla told me. She's only told me the sky is purple. So why she lying to the both of us? And it's like I'm not. I'm only giving you what I want to give you. I'm not telling you everything about me. And I don't know what it is, but that just makes me so angry at times. Well, it
Okay.
did. It did in the past. Because like I said, I haven't experienced this in a while. Um, but it did really anger me at times, and it got frustrated to the point where I remember lashing out and being like, I don't know why I would ever trust you. It was like it was just a big blow up, basically. I remember saying, I don't know why I trusted you. You don't deserve to be in my life. And then it was pretty much the silent treat me after that.
Mm,
I don't know why. It's like because it made me feel like, okay, if I tell you something in confidence, right?
right.
Why are you discussing it with somebody else? Regardless if that person knows that we talked about the same topic, regardless, why are you even saying like, oh yeah, let me entertain this conversation? What did Kayla tell you? Okay, let me tell you what Kayla told me.
Kind of like
It's like,
measuring up notes.
yeah, and it's like,
Okay.
no, no, that's my biggest thing is that being lied on. Oh, that's another trigger. Being lied on, but also, it's hard for me to trust people. It really is. And I think that's where it stems down to. If I'm telling you something and it's just supposed to be for your ears, but I hear that it's going around that everybody knows my situation, no, we gonna have to take a while to step back. That's oh my gosh. Yuck. That I just thought about so many things just now that happened. Yeah. Sorry, let me bring myself down. I was getting a little bit of yeah. Um, but yeah, that's a big one for me is when I tell you something in confidence. I don't care if the other person knows. Don't talk about it. Just don't. Cause you.
So I have a question about, like, so because you say it's hard to trust people, right?
Mhm.
And you feel like your story is best told in parts instead of in wholes, where you give people, like, you may give another person C, may give another person X, may give another person J,
Mhm.
and these people all meet up and talk about, well, yeah, I talked to Kayla and so is going on. They're like, no, 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 she told me XYZ is going on. Well, no, she
Mhm.
told me XYZ is going on. Um, your an interesting scenario to be in because for me, I'm pretty consistent in what I give to people.
Mhm.
Like some people may know a few more intimate details, but essentially the story is the same. And I don't. And is there a reason why you piecemeal out like parts of? Is it because like, well, this is probably essential information, or this is not essential information, or this doesn't make sense to this person because it doesn't really relate? Why do you feel that it's important to like? I know that trust is like the overarching factor, but
Yeah.
um, why is it? Why do you feel like you have to piecemeal out your information to other people instead of just like
Saying the whole thing.
talking to either saying the whole thing or not, or only talking to those people who actually want to see you do well?
It's always because I thought about it too, but it's because of what I can relate to that person with. So at times, like for instance, I can talk to you all day long about like relationships or just being single. And other times I could talk to like Jocelyn or one of the other sisters about kids, right? So it's always something whoever I'm talking to, it's like it's easier for me to say what the conversation is going to be about, what we can both relate to. Does that make sense? I don't know if that does, but it just makes sense in my head. So that's why I always done it that way, as opposed to telling you the full story, because I don't want to get so many questions like, oh, why did you do it that way, or have to basically either defend myself or justify for my actions. So I'd rather just tell you something or tell you whatever it is, but it's something that you can relate to as opposed to bring you something new that you have no idea about, basically. It's easier for me to do it that way.
So if you don't really trust those people,
I
I'm just
know.
saying, like, if
No,
you
I know.
that would alleviate a lot of the issues because at
Yeah.
no point should you feel if it's a real successful relationship, right?
Mhm.
At no point should you feel the need to have to defend what your decisions are, right? So
Mm.
if you decided to go skinny dipping, right?
What the
And
world?
I'm just saying, as a grown woman,
Okay. Uh-huh.
it's not you can choose to do whatever it is,
Just the
whatever
fact
it is
that
that
you
you want to
you
do.
gave that
But
example.
but you don't have to but you don't have to what do you call it? You don't have to
Most.
defend whatever it is, whatever choices you decide to make because it's your life, it's your kids, your place, your car, your whatever. Now, if those decisions ultimately affect other people, then yeah, it's a conversation about like, hey, how can we make this, situation be better for everyone?
Mhm.
But in a situation where you have to just deal with yourself and answer to yourself about yourself and why you're doing what you're doing,
Yeah.
then why do you feel so beholden to other people to have to defend or explain? And it could be because you're a child, not a child. You are the baby of the family, and being the baby of the family, you feel this need of just like, well, having to overshare, over explain, or whatever. Like why
No,
why do you feel like you're put in a defensive mode when you talk about the choices that you made, or even in telling the story of like how things went?
cause okay. I don't. It has. I don't take that to heart when people are like, "Oh, you're the baby of the family." Like, I don't know what it is, but it's like, yeah, okay.
Hey,
But it's
no, you don't see it. I'm gonna tell you, you don't see it because you are the baby of the family. But the way that you act versus the way a middle child acts versus the
Mhm.
way the oldest acts is very different. And
I get that.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's very, very, very different. So I mean, you don't have to take it to heart, but knowing where you fall in that line, it's not the same as uh it's not the same as like knowing your star sign or knowing if you were born under a fire moon or whatever the case is. It's not anything having to do with like uh um it doesn't have to be anything about that.
Uh-huh.
But it's more about where you fall in line with your thinking, because as the baby of the family, you did not have to consider how your decisions ultimately affected the larger group. As the baby of the family, a lot of your chores were the smaller chores until everybody moved out and you were by yourself with mom and dad.
But
A
that's not
lot
my
of the
fault.
I'm not saying no. This is not your fault, but this is how your personality develops, is what I'm saying. And
Okay. Okay.
because of the way that you take in, like being the baby of the family, there's a way that the babies or even only children take in information where
Mhm.
they don't have to consider the group at large. They don't have to really consider the effects or consequences of their actions, because they don't have to report back to the rest of the group and say, well, I tried this or I
Yeah.
did this or whatever. So, you may not really think about it, but this is why a lot of people may ask, are you the baby of the family? And they may make assumptions based on that,
Yeah.
but that's not my only like, oh, you're the baby of the family. But a lot of times it's because like I know that you make some of the decisions that you make or do some of the things that you do because you are the baby of the family and
Mhm.
you have the privilege of doing those things.
Okay. I can accept that and my heart is still open. No, but you know what? Okay, here's what really grinds my gears. Um, when people do not like what I do or what I say, or even if I tell them like, "No, I'm good. I don't want to do that," or "I can't be there," or something like that, they're like, "Well, why? Why not?" I got that so many times, especially from teachers. Oh my gosh, I remember in elementary school. I got that all the time. Well, why not? And it's like, why don't you just accept my answers? Like, why do I have to explain myself? So I think that's where that pretty much comes from. That I still hold on to that I have to still explain myself because you're never going to accept it, regardless. My answer is not going to change. Like, why does it matter? By me telling you this, what is going to change? Because I'm still not going to do it. So I I will probably say that's probably where it comes from,
Hmm.
because that's the only thing I can really think of where that comes from, of having to defend myself or justify myself, is because of always getting the well why response from people. So I don't know, but I think that's probably where it comes from.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know, but when as far as the I okay, now that you put it that way, that you explained it to me that way in regards of being the baby of the family, because I always felt, and I know I think that we said this on the no, I said this on the sisters episode. I always felt that everybody was upset with me because I was the baby of the family, but I'm like, I didn't ask to be here, so but because all the sisters was like, well, not all the sisters. Some were like, well, you didn't have to do much of the chores. We had to watch after you. And it's like, okay, I don't know what you would expect me to do because I'm the youngest of the whole family and you guys are older than me. So that responsibility wasn't there.
Right.
So I always felt that everybody was not necessarily against me, but had a grudge simply because of I am the baby of the family or I'm the youngest of the family. And the way you just explained it let me know, like, no, that's not the case. But at the same time, it's true in a way, but that's not the case. Like, you guys don't hold a grudge against me or anything like that. So,
No, we don't. There's no grudges to be held or anything like that. It's simply stating that you didn't have coming up. You didn't have as much responsibility, and that's by no fault of anybody, right?
hmm
It's just the way the cookie crumbles. Like you,
yeah,
as being the baby, you didn't have as much responsibility because by the time we're about 8 years apart, and by the time you were 8 and able to wash dishes and do chores, we had already had a system in
Yeah.
place. So you were always the assistant to whoever was doing whatever it is. So nobody trusted you to clean glasses because we didn't want
Uh-huh.
you to break them. You could wash the plastic plates, but the plates weren't really clean. So, but
Not the plastic plates though.
we had teenagers and preteens. We had people who were already in place. So you were essentially the assistant. So it wasn't anything that we held against you. It was more like, no, you don't have as much experience having as much responsibility as we did
Uh-huh.
because you are the baby. But it's nothing like, oh, begrudgingly I give this to you, begrudgingly I say this to you because you didn't have to go through what we did. That's not
Yeah.
that's not ever how I have felt it come off, but I wasn't on the receiving end of it because I'm one of the oldest.
Mhm.
But I feel like, I can understand why you would kind of feel that way, especially if it was never explained to you. Why we look at, um, in the line, who's the oldest, who's the youngest, who's the baby, because when we look at that, we can kind of get a better sense of what that child's personality is like, and especially the way they make decisions and what they're doing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I feel.
Yep. I know. I know.
But I want to talk
Really.
about, because I don't want to leave the people with like triggers.
Really.
Um, I want to hear what are some things that you are doing to work on, and triggers vary. I feel like some things that are triggers may not always be triggers. Some things that were not triggers before could be triggers. Triggers are like allergies. They may pop up here and there from time to time.
Seasonal. Yeah.
They could be seasonal. But I feel like but I feel like when we have the right tools, and especially now, with the world trying to reopen and us learning to be social again, there
Mhm.
are absolutely going to be real triggers that occur. And all the work that we felt we've done in the past years could come crumbling down because we didn't handle a situation as well as we scripted 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So what are some things that you are doing in your life that is helping you to work through triggers or to overcome triggers?
Well, I know I definitely woosah. In the moment I have to literally woosah. Because if I don't, I know either I'm always very good at just shutting down.
Mm,
And I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna deal with it. I don't deal with it right then and there. I'm the type of person where I don't like confrontation when it's brought towards me. But also I don't like bringing confrontation towards anybody else.
mm.
So I know for me what I do is like, all right, you know what, whatever situation just happened, give me a day. Give me a day. Like literally sit there, give me a day. Don't call me, don't text me, don't ask me, am I okay? Like no, I like I'm being serious. This is my way of just whatever happened, just getting it all out. So give me a day, and then we can revisit the situation. So I'm like, it's it's easier for me to do that way because one, I don't want to say anything where I know I don't mean, but also
Mhm.
I don't want to do anything where somebody gonna be in a jail. No, I'm just kidding. I no, 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 no. I definitely don't want to say anything that I know I definitely don't mean. So I would say definitely give me a day, and then I will come to you. Um, I'm pretty sure the other person will be ready to talk about it after a day. I would
You
hope.
listen,
I'm like
some
I
people are just like,
know.
look, that happened 4 days ago. I'm so over
Yeah.
that. I'm not ready to talk about it.
No, but okay. So here's the thing, though, because you know how when people say, like for instance, this is totally an example. An example. Say if you and me got into it, right? And
I'm talking about
you,
last week.
huh? Really? you know me well enough that I don't like doing it right then and there, right? Like
Right.
give me a day and we'll talk
Yes.
about it.
Yes.
So, but you know how people are always be like, well, you can't be upset. I can't be upset at you because you are over it, but I'm not.
Yeah, it's a you
Yeah,
thing. It's a
yeah.
you thing. Even though
And
we
I'm
were
just
both
like,
involved and we were both wrong, because
right.
I was able to get over it and you're still dealing
Mhm.
with it. Now it's just a you problem.
Yeah, so I'm like, but for me,
Yeah.
For me, I truly say that's not true. I agree to disagree. I think that's not true because you can get over it very quickly than I can,
Right.
and that's not fair because we're the both parties are involved of the situation.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, nah, give me a day, like I said, and I would definitely say this if something was to
Do you
happen, I would
verbally
definitely.
tell somebody, hey, is getting the tempers are getting high and I don't want to say anything that's gonna hurt anybody's feelings. Give me a day and kind of
Hmm.
like set that expectation or that boundary. Give me a day and I'll check back in with you to see if it's a better time for us to talk about it.
Now I don't remember if I've said that before exactly like that, but I do tell them like I will call you when I'm ready to talk.
Okay.
So, but after that, that's the last thing I say to them, and they won't hear from me until I'm ready to talk. But it usually is about a day, like a day
Okay.
or so when I do finally talk to them.
Y'all give me stress. Oh Jesus.
How? How? Look,
Listen,
I'm just
I
like
I
it's
cannot stand the we need to talk or we're gonna talk later on tonight. Like that
no,
just
it's no,
just
it's not.
just
It's not
just tell
that.
me what it is. Like I okay.
Really?
Tell me what it is. Because and and what I like to do in my relationships, and I know I'm totally made this about me right now, but what
I
I
know.
like to do is try to make sure that people feel comfortable enough to say whatever it is they need to say. And this is something I'm also working on.
Mhm.
But I feel like for whatever reason, if you don't feel comfortable talking to me, I have now done something wrong and I overcorrect it
Yeah.
because you have taken a step back and you don't feel comfortable talking to me. And I realize that this is totally your decision, right?
Mhm.
I
Yes.
I have created the space to allow you, not force you, but allow you to step to me to say, I have, when you do this, I feel this. I give you
Mhm.
that space, right? Whether you choose to use it or not is up to you. But why? Why? Do not. Why?
But for me, I never say those words like we need to talk. Like no, I just like, hey, are you busy?
No,
Okay, no,
yes, I'm busy. Just tell me
no,
what it is.
no,
Like,
no,
is this about the other thing?
no.
Okay, let's talk about this.
If
Like,
you if you were to say if I say, hey, are you busy? You tell
oh,
me, yeah, I'm
geez.
busy. I'm like, okay, well, call me when you're not busy. Simple as that.
Just
Simple
tell
as
me the
that.
thing.
No, because
Tell me the thing.
I need to make sure that I have your attention and
Yes.
that you are not distracted from anything because I want to make sure that I am being heard. Not for you to be like, oh yeah, I'm listening. Uh-huh, okay. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. You felt that way? Oh, okay. I'm sorry
absolutely.
that you felt that way. No, 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 no.
That's
One,
not. Let's be
no.
clear. That is not an apology, people.
Right.
That is not an apology. I'm sorry you felt that way.
No.
Absolutely not an
That is
apology.
not an apology. No. So I just want to make sure that I am being heard. And don't be overly actively listening to me. I don't need all
Hmm.
the
Yeah,
yeah.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh wow. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah. Yeah.
my
Yeah. I totally
gosh.
understand. Yeah.
I
Hmm.
cannot
Yeah.
stand that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, really? Wow.
Right.
You didn't hear a
Word.
word I said. You stopped listening 2 minutes ago.
I'm like, nope, that's not what I'm asking for. I said, make sure you are not busy, no distractions. I have your attention and that you are clearly understanding and listening to me. And also, I'm not looking for an apology at all. If you apologize, that's on you. But I'm not looking for an apology. I just want to make sure that I am being heard. Period. Point blank.
Okay.
That's how I feel about that. Whew. Yes.
Y'all give me stress.
That really.
I just need y'all to know y'all be stressing me out. I'm like, because I'm the type person, and I could be seen as confrontational, but confrontation is a form of communication. Like learning how to nip things in the bud when they happen. Like, hey, listen, don't cut me off. I'm speaking right now.
Hmm.
Yes, you may have something. Oh my gosh, I want to say something. Listen, write it down.
Listen,
Because
like
if
God,
you cut me off
listen.
for something stupid, I am going to read you to filth.
Did you just say
Don't don't do it.
she
Really? That's
ain't
all you
worth
wanted to
it?
say? That's what we had to stop our lives for? That's what you
Hmm.
wanted to say? This thing, did you just read it in the book? Did it have colors in it? Really?
And
Like
have
I
pictures.
oh Jesus, the offense. So
I cannot.
yeah, like I'm telling you, but no, but because I care, and this is the key thing, because I care, I respect your boundaries. And because I know that that's a boundary for you, like when
Yeah.
tempers get flared and you're just like, look, because some people like even even when, and I had to notice this when I was young, I can over talk somebody very quick because I talk so fast, and I've learned
Mhm.
to slow way down in talking. But especially when I was younger, I would talk so fast that dad would get flustered, where he would, okay, stop. He's just like he would just use his dad card and just like walk away. And I'm just like, but no, what you need to understand what I'm doing is it's just like
Really?
it's just like
You are
but
terrible.
but what I understand is that some people can't and and I can have the very best of intentions, right?
Mhm.
But I think that knowing that you have those boundaries and respecting the fact that you want to um work within those boundaries to work through what we went through without it being um offended
Yeah.
in what happened, because you can take offense, which is the event, right? And
Mhm.
you can feel hurt by it. But if you walk around offended, then you have a grudge and there's walls being put up in the relationship. So, if I want the relationship long term to work, I have to give you space to work through it if that's what it takes. If it takes you coming to me telling me you hurt me and telling me what I did was wrong and how you don't want to be treated in that way, it's not up to me to say, well, this is who I am, so accept it. It's up to
Oh
me to
my
say,
gosh.
well, I understand you don't want to be treated that way. I'm going to do my best to make sure that I don't treat you that way. Not that you're correcting my behavior in my total being, but when I'm with you,
Mhm.
you don't care to be treated this way.
Yeah, that's right though.
So
That's right.
I, so I think it's a very valid way to work through that. Me, on the other hand,
Really? I feel like we do a 180. You
I absolutely
you nip it in the bud right then and there. You don't want to have to deal with it later
no, but
on.
a lot of people don't like it.
Some people are built
They don't
differently.
know. There's a lot of people who are, for whatever reason, attracted to me, whether in friendships or romantic relationships, who would rather not deal with it. And my thing is, I know if I let this fester too long to where you have to like ruminate on it and you're thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it, like stewing in it, right?
Mhm.
Now you've become emotional. And now I have to deal with all the yuckiness of all the
You
emotions
just say
that
it.
you have come through. And now I have to say, okay, well, listen,
Really? Did you just say all the yuckiness?
I don't like dealing with emotions. Like it's you got to deal with when you were sad and now you're offended and it makes you hurt and you have to work through it and it's like murky and yucky and all those things. And so you get
I
through, like you start like getting through, like let me get through to the peace side. I just want to go to the peace side and just be like, look, it washes away with the tide. I am one with you.
no.
Like
Really?
that's what I want to get back to. That's what I want to, but
You
you
are
disrupt my
terrible.
peace when I know that there's something hanging in the air that's not
Mhm.
being said, and we need to talk about it. So I
Really?
won't be at peace until we talk. But in the meantime, I overcorrect. Is everything okay? Okay, well, let's make sure she does this. Okay, does she like blueberry muffins or does she like banana nut muffins? If I get the chocolate muffins and give her an assortment, maybe
I
she'll be able
cannot.
to do this. Maybe if I learn how to do these things, and so okay, maybe if I okay, but if I do this, okay, I'm gonna give her space, but I'm also gonna send her an edible arrangement.
What? What the world?
She knows I mean no harm.
That's
So
doing too much. Animal
that
arrangement.
but that in my mind, I have to overcorrect whatever it is. So, but for my triggers, whenever they happen, what I do to combat them is to validate that right now I am, uh, I'm like, feel like I'm going through the trauma of being abandoned all over again. That's what my triggers stem from, is that separation anxiety, that abandonment, and when I'm being dismissed or ignored, that's what I feel like. So I acknowledge and validate that's what I'm going through. My next step is then to make it about the other person in a positive way where I'm showing compassion. Like, hey, this person may be offending you, or may be dismissing or ignoring you because either they're hurt, they don't know how to properly address the situation, or it could be that walking away is the only tool that they have in their tool belt. That's the only thing they know how to use.
Mhm.
And so they may feel that this is the best way to deal with this, not knowing that this is what's making me more ticked off, right? And
Yeah.
so if this is the only tool they know how to use, I'm not going to um, hurt the relationship even further by reciprocating maliciousness.
Mhm.
So I have to be compassionate, and being compassionate disarms me from taking a defensive stance of, okay, now now I have all my barriers up, all my guards are up.
Got the dukes up.
Now I have to start catapulting whatever I can catapult over the wall. Whatever I
Uh-huh.
can get, whatever I can hit, whatever I can throw at you, I need to sink your battleship because uh no, you absolutely will not disrespect me, but I know that I can't go through life in that way. So by showing compassion, it helps me to disarm myself. It helps me to be aware of what's happening in the situation and not take me back to years before when I had to deal with the same thing. Right?
Mhm.
I can be in the moment by being when I'm compassionate for the other person. I'm absolutely in the moment. So it absolutely helps in doing that. And then it's not always about me. This person may be a rude a hole. This person may be very nice on any other day, but this particular day, she had a
Mhm.
rock in her shoe, or he stubbed his toe. I don't know what's going on with the feet, but it hurts sometimes. They could have just got a bad report about their parents, or about themselves or a friend or whatever.
Never know
And
what's going on with
um,
them.
absolutely you don't. So,
Mm.
I can stand there and say, you're going to respect me, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And there's always a time to stand up for yourself. But in these moments, if my first step is validating how I'm feeling and then showing compassion to the other person, it
Mhm.
helps me to not escalate the situation any further. And so I know that, sometimes I need to walk away. Sometimes I don't need to say anything. Sometimes I need to go ahead and hand it off to the sister standing next to me and be like, yo, I need you to handle this because,
Yeah. There's a time and
uh,
place for everything.
listen. But yeah, so that's kind of how I feel about it.
Really.
So
I'm definitely glad you know what your triggers are though and how to work through them to
yeah,
better
it's always
yourself.
it's always good to come up with a plan, not necessarily a script,
Mhm.
because nobody sticks to the script. You don't pass these out before you have the conversation. You
No.
absolutely don't tell me what I need to say when I'm talking to you and we're working through whatever the issue is. But having a plan, like, listen, I want to talk to you about the situation, and regardless of what is said, the outcome that I'm going for is understanding, or the outcome that I'm going for is so that you understand my boundaries and are willing to work my boundaries. I really want to leave the ball in your court as far as what you're willing to do, because we can tell people these are our boundaries, but
Mhm.
it's up to you to utilize that space or not. It's up to them
Right.
to respect them. They have the
Mhm.
choice of respecting or disrespecting your boundaries. So having a clear idea in mind, not just what you want to say, but what you want the outcome to be. And while you're in that conversation, it'll help you gain the clarity of, like, this is what my goal is in this conversation.
Yeah.
I want to be heard, and what do you want? What do you want the other person to hear? What do you want the other person? What do you want to say? What words do you want to say to the other person? So I think those are really good goals. Hey, follow us on social media at Take Up Space Pod. That's Take Up Space POD on
Right.
Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, making sure to follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/champions of discourse. And you can find all of our episodes there where you can see video, see all the craziness that's going on. So until next time, we'll see you at the live on Thursday at 8 p.m. Don't forget,
Citra. Tanner time.
YouTube and Facebook. We'll see you later. Have a great one. Bye.
Bye.